the atmosphere and the energy. It was awesome to be in the shoe today. So much energy. The defense played really well. Offensive line played well. Running backs ran hard. Receivers caught the ball well. So I think it was just an overall good team effort, and it was so much fun just being in the shoe.
Julian Sayin, growing up right before our eyes, that's a big deal. He looked calm. He looked composed. Didn't make any drastic mistakes. He didn't, even when guys were all over him, he threw the ball accurately. I mean, let's think about this. Max Clair drops a ball into those Velcro gloves on a 4th down, and Jeremiah Smith was taking his eyes off the ball early in that game, and this is not Grambling. This is Texas.
Right.
Like those mistakes were not predictable with those guys. It was the quarterback that you thought you'd have to almost win a little bit in spite sometimes, and you didn't. I pointed out that one play where Sayin was 3rd and 3 on his own 8, and he throws a calm strike, and I think it was to Claire.
It was.
He just kind of came back to him. And that's not a 40-yard throw, what I'm talking about. But that is a strike on a 3rd and 3 on his own 8-yard line. Like, that stuff has to happen.
Yeah.
And it was calm, it was a fastball, and it was right there.
You know what else I liked about that play specifically, AR, is where Max Clair was lined up, which I thought was really interesting and cool to see that they had Jeremiah and Max kind of bunched up together with Max on the outside of Jeremiah. So we've heard so much about Max Clair's route running ability and his versatility within the offense. Now they're showing us that, hey, this isn't a tight end that can just or has to line up in the traditional tight end spot. We have confidence that we can move him around. And so, while, yes, he had that drop, and I don't think we'll see much of that all year because I think Max Clair is a dude and will be a dude for this team. Now you're talking about having your best playmaker lined up to what I think will be your 2B, 2A, whatever it is, after Carnell gets his within this offense this year. And now defenses have to worry about him moving around within the offense. So I thought that was really cool. And I like that they went back to Max, right? You had that drop early on, but in a critical moment, we're going to line you up next to Jeremiah, and we still believe in you, and he delivered.
I think it was the next series.
Yeah.
Or it was very close to it. And so the confidence they had in him is going to be fine. He felt like, after on that 4th and 1, that going into the sideline, because he's going to drag a toe. He's going to get a foot in. If you've ever put on those gloves, you realize that usually you don't even have to do much other than have the leather hit the gloves. And it was pretty amazing. But I'm happy that he came back and caught that ball.
Can I say something real quick about another tight end?
Yeah.
Because you highlighted the Carnell Tate touchdown grab, which was awesome. And I was curious to see who was going to make the play this year in this game against Texas, which we figured would have a tough defense. And they did. And last year it was Travion Henderson with the big play before halftime. And then obviously Jack brings it home with the scoop and score. But Carnell Tate, to me, had that moment in this year's version of Texas and Ohio State. But on that touchdown grab, go watch Will Kaczmarek and what he was doing. Because you talk about trust in a critical moment. He was lined up one-on-one with Colin Simmons, who we know is special with his talent. And he did just enough to give Julian time to deliver that touchdown to Carnell Tate. The ball was a hair underthrown, but look, when you have Carnell Tate and Jeremiah, these guys, you give them a 50-50 ball, you see that they can win. But Will Kaczmarek, I thought, did some really good blocking on Colin Simmons in a one-on-one situation to allow Julian to get it to Carnell.
So it reminds me a little bit of the touchdown run by C.J. Donaldson, who by the way, seemed to be a little more of the guy. First of all, CJ got the first carry. Yep. Everyone thought Peoples was going to start this game and be the guy. And I do feel like we're probably in a committee. Yeah. We did not get to see the young Bo Jackson. And in a game like this, you had a couple of guys that were doing well, especially CJ. But I'm glad pointing out unsung guys and guys that don't make the highlight reel is pretty cool, especially when you're talking Buckeye football. And when they line up for that, what was it, a 4th and goal at the 1?
That sounds right, AR.
Yeah, it was a 4th down, right? Yeah. So Nate Roberts, who's 6'5", 240, and Bennett Christian, another tight end who's 6'6", 250, are the ones that got him in the end zone. He didn't have to run over a guy. And it's those guys that they'll only be talked about briefly. And I'm glad I'm doing it now because I think they deserve it. Mm-hmm. Nate Roberts and Bennett Christian got that 4th and 1. There's no tomorrow on that. Texas takes over, you don't get in. And look what happened on the other end when they stopped them. That's a tie game if Arch Manning sneaks that in. But it was one of those things when Ohio State lined up for the goal line stand, you would think a guy like Sark, who had the nightmare of last year of having a chance to tie the game against Ohio State, gets second down and goal at the 2, and again outthinks he probably thought, well, what could be outthinking yourself if you're trying to sneak the ball? Yeah. But and I'll have to text Carp and say, if you can't get a yard, you don't deserve to win the game.
Somebody said that.
When you got 11 dudes lined up.
I heard that watching so much as football, it all kind of blended together. But some analysts did say that calling the game, hey, you can't pick up a yard, you don't deserve to win.
Do you know how hard it is to get a yard when 11 guys are lined up on the line of scrimmage?
And I heard you saying that in my brain when I heard the broadcaster saying that.
And he could have somehow called a play action there or something. He could have done something different there, but he didn't, and he didn't get in and he paid for it. But yeah, it's one of those things that when you watch this game, and now Ryan Day, who pulls off another game against a top 5 team, and the impression of this team, you and I tried to predict this. We defined success on Friday. Here I thought I was being conservative by saying beat Michigan and get to the Final Four. And then you really never know who you're playing in the semifinal. We talked about not what's going to happen. We talked about what you could live with, what would define success for this team. And I'll tell you what, I'm leaving it right there. And if anything, I might inch it a hair more. Maybe this team, I already knew this team had the talent. The question marks were real. Young quarterback, replacing a backfield. Can the offensive line, the new pieces come together? And man, what we saw in game 1, and I'm not overreacting. I'm just giving them their situational due after that game. This team has the talent. They have the coaching. They have the want to. Now, how do they handle success of an early big win? That will be a question this week to Ryan Day, I'm sure. They got to come down to earth, playing a couple teams they feel they should walk over until this thing ramps up again. So it's going to be and they're going to get the current crown. They're going to steal it from Texas. They were always a target. But in this game, it felt like it was even, and everyone was saying, well, maybe the home field advantage puts it over the top, which is where I was on this game. Rarely would this was close. I mean, you could have picked Texas and convinced me that they were going to win. You pick Ohio State because of the home field and going up against a guy that has the weight of the world on his shoulders in Arch Manning. But this is where they are, and now this team becomes the team again, right away, out of the gate.
For me, I'm going to keep my definition of success for them in the same spot.
You're not moving it off, just making the playoff?
I'm going to keep it there. Beat Michigan, get to the postseason. I'm going to, because it's rooted in a year 1 quarterback for me. My mind always comes back to that and his growth and how quickly that happens. And I just don't know yet. But man, I think what that defense can do for Julian can go a long way. Like a lot of the offseason, for me, I was thinking about how the run game can directly affect him. And obviously that's still in play and can bring some comfort to a young quarterback. And you saw Julian do some things under center and in the shotgun. So there's some versatility there, I think, within that offense with the different looks you can give a defense. But when your defense does the things that they did on Saturday, holding Texas to, what was it, AR, 1 of 5 on 4th down? 1 of 4 on 4th?
No, it was 1 of 5.
1 of 5 on 4th down. That really, I think, brings some comfort, not only to Julian, but the whole team, and knowing that we have a defense that is going to get people off the field more times than not. So just a real well-rounded outing for the Scarlet and Gray on offense, and I don't think this is the best that we've seen from them yet, especially on offense.
So I actually like your point about the running game. It had pockets of goodness, especially on the 4th and 1 where they powered through and scored. Is it something that if things aren't perfect, if weather isn't perfect, and you have a defense that decides to try to do whatever they can to take away the pass, will they be able to rely on it? And the guy to ask is coming up in 2 minutes, our friend Jim.